going forward without Dak Prescott after the QB suffered a season-ending ankle injury during their win over the Giants on Sunday. With Dak playing this season on the franchise tag, there have already been whispers that we may have just seen Prescott's last game in a Dallas uniform. One anonymous exec even told The Athletic that Jerry Jones and the Cowboys could be tempted to move forward with a discounted Andy Dalton next season. Super Bowl champ and Fox Sports college football analyst Reggie Bush joining us this morning. Reggie, I'm going to get right to the point. How much money will this injury cost Dak?
Well, I don't think it's going to cost him that much money because you got to think as a quarterback, you're always in a position of leverage, especially quarterbacks in this day and age. And Dak having this injury obviously was horrible. We feel for him. You hate to see it happen. But if Dak can bounce back next year, which I'm sure he can, he's young enough, his body's going to snap back. Now, this will take some time to get back to feeling like himself. But if Dak can come back next year, play well, he will be in the same exact position he was this year. And so I only think that this injury delays him, 1 year. Maybe if he comes back next year, plays well, you still got to, there are going to be talks about maybe franchise tag, long-term contract, or let him go to the free agency market. In any of those situations, he's still going to get paid. He's still going to get his money. So as long as Dak can bounce back and get back to being healthy, take some time to take care of his injury and just make sure that he's 100% next time he steps on that football field. But if Dak just goes back to being the same Dak, it'll be enough for him to get a big contract. And I don't have any doubts in my mind that he's going to do that, especially with the way that technology is and just how much better our doctors have gotten over the years with injuries like this.
I think in the short term, it hurts him. I just, everybody keeps throwing around the franchise tag. It's just hard for me to see them throwing out $38 million, Skip. And they say the cap might come down to 175.
Yeah, from 200.
From 200 to 175.
COVID, yes.
Okay, if you give Dak $38 million, that's 22% of your cap. Now, they always tell me that they want to keep the quarterback or the highest paid player around 14%. So you mean to tell me a guy coming off that injury, like it's not an Achilles injury, and like you said, quarterbacks get an opportunity to come back because they don't have to have the mobility to stay up a receiver or defensive back. So it's different. Quarterback injuries are different, Skip. And plus, like I said, quarterbacks have injuries and they play another 10, 15 years. So for me, I think in the short term, it might hurt him because he might not get that $38 million from a franchise tag. He might have to play on a cheaper number. But I agree with you on this end. If he comes back next year, he's healthy, he plays well. So now going into 2022, Skip, he'll be able to get that big payday that he wants. So in other words, he would just had to push it off for basically 2 years. But if he at the end of the day, if he gets the kind of money that he wants, his 2 years had to wait, a lot of tears, a lot of sleepless nights. But I believe in the short term, it hurts him. Long term, if he comes back, he's healthy, Dak Prescott gets paid in the long run.
I am with Reggie Bush on this one. I don't know why you continue to insist that he wouldn't get that tag next year. I think Jerry will have no choice but to give him the tag sight unseen because you'll have no idea if he's going to be 100% or 89%. You're just going to have to hope that the doctors say he looks like he's going to be really good, like he should be 100% at or near.
But here's the thing, though, Skip. What if you're under the same protocols as we are now? No OTAs, no mini camps. Basically, your guy got to show up to training camp and you just got to go.
You're going to have to close your eyes and plunge $38 million, which is 22% of your cap.
Right.
Look, Jerry Jones will crumble under public perception and opinion when it affects his bottom line. And the irony of this conversation is I believe Jerry, through their big contractual battle, has turned Dak into a sympathetic figure. And obviously, we are all just devastated to see this injury. Well, again, Dak is a sympathetic figure. I think Jerry will say, okay, we've seen a lot from him. I didn't see $40 million a year a lot, but I saw enough to say, let's try the tag one more time. The only thing I hate about the tag for the young man's sake is this will be 3 straight years he's had to prove himself, right?
Yes.
And I hate it because it's not fun, and it's not healthy. It's not psychologically healthy for him or the football team.
Right.
because all the players are going to get asked all year long. Next year, what do you think about? Do you think Dak's going to get long term or whatever? And if he plays the way he's been playing, I think Jerry will plunge and give him, and they're going to have to fight over 4 or 5 years.
Right.
But I think after next year, he would get the long term deal that he wanted
in 2022.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you look at Tom Brady, right? Tom Brady tore his ACL up.
Yeah.
He was able to come back from injury. Drew Brees tore his shoulder up. We didn't even know if Drew Brees was going to be able to throw a football ever again. And then now look where he is. Most passing touchdowns, most career passing touchdowns, most career completions, most career yardage. So for quarterbacks, they're always in positions of leverage. And if he was a running back, I'm like, hey, man, that's probably it for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because for running backs, we don't have that much time to give away. We don't have a year or two to miss. We have to get it while we can. For quarterbacks right now, we see Tom Brady playing to 40-plus years, Drew Brees 40-plus years, Aaron Rodgers still looks good late into his 30s. So for Dak Prescott, he's young. He's going to snap back. The doctors are going to make sure that he gets back to his old self. And here's the thing about also fracturing and breaking bones. I've broken my fibula before. What the doctors told me is that whenever you come back from a broken bone, it usually heals back twice as thick, twice as tough, because ligaments are like rubber bands. When you tear those, they are always susceptible to being torn again. And so for a broken bone, a fracture like this, it's going to heal back a lot stronger for Dak. And I'm not saying he won't break it again, but it's definitely going to be different from if he tore his ACL or PCL or something like that.
I'm sure they're going to put plates and screws in there. But Tom Brady is different. Yeah. Tom Brady was playing for $100,000. Coach Belichick got him on the cheap, Skip, so you could always bring him back. But if you remember, Reggie, Drew only got a 6-year deal, a 6-year, $60 million deal, only $10 million. Yeah. So there was not a whole lot of money. There was the Saints protecting themselves, but they had to get somebody to feel that. Yeah. And I don't think Jerry's like, we're the Cowboys. We don't really need a face or a player to sell seats in this building. The Saints had to go out on a limb because they had nothing. And so with that being said, like I said, I believe in the short term, but Skip is hell-bent believing that they're going to franchise him again, which will put him around $69 million for 2 years, which is not bad money.
Not bad. That's good money. That's good money. That's
Reggie Bush, go one other direction with us. There's a piece today in The Athletic by Mike Sando quoting anonymous GMs as speculating about what Andy Dalton could do to affect Jerry Jones' view of how to approach a lower cap. Look, Andy Dalton is not Dak, but he's not bad. He's made 3 Pro Bowls. His first 5 years in Cincinnati, he averaged winning 10 games a year. Not bad. What if Andy Dalton becomes sort of the ultimate backup quarterback game manager? They feed Zeke. They become more back to being a running football team that Shannon wanted them to be from the start anyway. And they somehow steal, quote unquote, the worst division in pro football maybe ever, the least, the NFC least. And what if Jerry sits back and says, you know, Andy's a good guy. He's a Texas kid. He went to TCU. He's from suburban Houston. What if we pay him $20 million going forward, and we spend all the rest of our cap trying to shore up a defense that right now has given up more points than any defense in football? Could you see that happening going forward with Andy as the game manager starter?
I could see that, but I still think Dak has just warranted and done enough to showcase that he is the future. And listen, Andy Dalton's a great player. I think Jerry Jones did an amazing job by getting him to be the backup quarterback this year, and you see how it played out. He gave himself an insurance policy. But for Dak Prescott, I think he's done enough. I think he's shown enough, one, that he's a fighter, 2, that he can play. He wins football games. And the players love him. Players love to play for him. Players love to go out there and give their all for him. You know, that's the kind of leader that you want on your football team. You want to build with somebody who understands the culture. I don't think Andy Dalton understands the culture just yet because he hasn't been there long enough. And then to say that they're just going to turn back into a running team, that's not Mike McCarthy's MO. That's not what he does. He's not a running kind of coach. So for them to turn around and hand the football to Zeke,